Fáilte, and welcome back to the Táin with myself, Lora O'Brien. We are doing recordings of the Táin Bó Cúailnge, the cattle raid of Cooley, and we're doing reading and little commentary as we go by as the mood takes me. So I am still wearing the OG t-shirt, but it's because I'm recording these all in a batch. So I'm not a big gross bag who's wearing the same t-shirt time and time again or day after day. But obviously I'll have to stagger them out. So you'll be getting these at different times and different days. So do make sure you're subscribed and you hit the bell for notification to make sure that you're not missing any of the episodes as we go. Okay, so we're going to share the screen here, and I told you the last time that I wanted to go into the killing of the squirrel and the tame bird. So this is interesting to me because I'm writing a book on Queen Maeve currently, and I've been looking at this, but the squirrel may be, I think the original word for it, I can't remember what it is now, Togmalin. That's Old Irish, so I might be pronouncing that wrong, but it basically just means a little creature. So it may or may not be a squirrel, but the bird is often taken as a sign of Maeve's sovereignty because it is one of the patterns of the sovereignty goddesses to have bird associations, and there's multiple other goddesses who would have that as well. So it's an interesting little snippet here. So let's get into it. Killing of the squirrel and of the tame bird. When Cuchulainn made a threat in Meha that wherever he saw Maeve, he would cast a stone at her and that it would not go far from the side of her head. That he also fulfilled. In the place where he saw Maeve west of the ford, he cast a stone from his sling at her so that it killed the pet bird that was on her shoulder. Maeve passed over the ford eastwards, and again he cast a stone from his sling at her east of the ford, so that it killed the tame squirrel, or togmalt, so the tame creature, that was on her shoulder. Hence the names of those places are still Meja in Togmal, Squirrel's Neck, and Meja in Owen, Bird's Neck. And Shreha, the ford of the Throw, is the name of the ford over which Cuchulainn cast the stone from his sling. So you can see as we're going through this that there's a lot of what we call Dindshenchas, which is the lore of place names, and it's very much woven in through the Táin, and the Táin would have been used. The whole telling of the Táin tale was not just the story of the characters in it, but also the story of the land and the landscape, and that is really, really common through the Irish mythology, and actually still in the Irish tradition. We still here's an interesting little snippet for you. So it would have been very, it's very much kind of bemoaned from modern folklorists or by modern folklorists that we're losing the traditions of like really personal and localized naming of places, even down to like fields. So particular fields, if you go back 50 or 60 years ago in Ireland, there is particular fields that people would know the name of that may have only survived in local knowledge and in local tradition, but will often have a much, much longer history attached to it and go back even to, Táin times, right? And I've often heard folklorists who are kind of giving out that we don't do this anymore because we're driving around in cars now rather than going around in, on bikes or on foot. So we don't have the same local geographical knowledge, and we don't have the same need to name everything, right? Because, we have GPS now. But really interesting one. We went for a little familial stroll the other morning. In our current lockdown state, we needed some sea air, so we went up to the Gillamine in Tramore, and this is where if you've been following me on social media or whatever, I often go swimming, often winter swimming, so it's all around that area, Newtown Cove and the Gillamine, in County Waterford, in Tramore, in County Waterford, just outside Tramore, is where I would be swimming and where a lot of my sea stuff around social media, Instagram and my Facebook page would come from. And my son turned around, who's 14, and would have a lot of local knowledge, local lads, and of course they'd be hanging around there all summer on their holidays. Maybe this summer might be a little bit different, but we're, if you're watching this from some point in the future, we are currently in a global pandemic lockdown. So that's that. But he was telling me about the names of the local cliffs. So all the different cliffs, just randomly, like, started telling me about all the different cliffs having their own names. And obviously from the names that he was giving me for the ones that he knew, they're very modern ones. Okay, so I mean, K1, K2, and K3 would be kind of mountain references, obviously, but there was quite a few different modern ones. I can't remember all the ones he told me now, um, but it's just really interesting to see that the kids are bringing this modern version of Dindshenchas. And I talk a lot on this channel and in my classes over at the Irish Pagan School about Irish paganism and our connection to the land being a living spiritual tradition. And here you have a perfect example of it, right? So anyway, little detour aside, maybe I should do a different video on that, a separate video. But anyway, it's here. You got it. If you're sticking with me for the Táin, you get extra bonus content through that. Okay. So then did the men of Éireann deliberate about going to ravage and lay waste Machbrech and Meath and the plain of Connell and the land of Cuchulainn. And it was in the presence of Fergus MacRoy that they discussed it. The 4 grand provinces of Éireann moved out on the morrow and began to harry the plains of Breck and Merhevna, which Merhevna is Cuchulainn's own kind of land that he's claimed. And the sharp, keen-edged anxiety for Cuchulainn came over his foster Fergus. And he bade the men of Éireann be on their guard that night, for that Cuchulainn would come upon them. And here again, he sang in his praise as he wrote it before, and he uttered the lay. Before we get into the fucking praises of Cuchulainn, right? This is interesting, the sharp, keen-edged anxiety, because that is actually the same translation as the name that the Mórrígan gives is often translated as sharp, keen edge. There's a whole kind of list of different kind of words and phrases that are pushed together into this big long name that she gives Cuchulainn when she's forced to give her name, or when she's asked to give her name. This is the name that she gives him. She's not forced; he doesn't force her. And sharp, keen-edged is definitely in there. So that is an interesting. It could be a common kind of turn of phrase that's connected with anxiety, which would make a whole lot of sense when describing the Mórrígan. So anyway, Fergus's lay. If Cuchulainn, Cúlne's hound, and Red Branch chiefs on you come, men will welter in their blood, laying waste Merhevna's plain. Far away he held his course till he reached Armenia's heights. Battle dared he, past his want, and the burnt breasts put to death. Hardest for him was to drive next sons from their chiefest haunts, and the smith's hound, mighty deed, hath he slain with single hand. More than this I've naught to say as concerns Dectera's son. My belief in troth is this: ye will now meet with your fate. After this lay, that was the day that Don, the brown bull of Coolnia, came into the land of Margana to Slieve-Cullen, and with him 50 heifers of the heifers of Ulster. And there he was pawing and digging up the earth in that place. And the land of Marganay, I could be pronouncing that wrong, but Marganay, let's go with that, in Coolnia, that is, he flung the turf over him with his heels. It was on the same day that the Mórrígan, daughter of Ernmas, the prophetess of the fairy folk, came in the form of a bird, and she perched on the standing stone of Tever of Coolnia, giving the brown bull of Coolnia warning and lamentations before the men of Éireann. Then she began to address him, and what she said was this: Good now, O luckless one, thou brown bull of Coolnia, so spake the Mórrígan. Take heed, for the men of Éireann are on thy track, and seeking thee, and they will come upon thee, and if thou art taken, they will carry thee away to their camp like any ox on a raid, unless thou art on thy guard. And she commenced to give warning to him in this fashion, and she delivered this judgment, and spake these words aloud. Knows not the restless brown of the truly dead fray that is not uncertain. A raven's croak, a raven that doth not conceal. Foes range your checkered plain, troops on raids. I have a secret, ye shall know, the waving fields, the deep green grass, and rich soft plain. wealth of flowers splendor, Bive's cow lowing, wild the raven, dead the men, a tale of woe, battle storm on Coolnia evermore, to the death of mighty sons, kith looking on the death of kin. So this is all pretty self-explanatory, I think. The Mórrígan has landed in bird form and is warning the brown bull of Cooley that all of this is coming. So this is the prophecy that, you know, we talk a lot about the Mórrígan being a goddess of prophecy. Like, this is one of the examples of her prophesying to the brown bull. So when the brown bull of Coolnia heard these words, he moved on to Glen Shavishka, the heifer's glen, in Slieve Cullen, Hollymount, and 50 of his heifers with him. This was one of the magic virtues of the brown bull of Coolnia. 50 heifers he would cover every day, so he'd be shagging the 50 of the heifers, which is a female cow. Those calved before the same hour on the next day, and such of them that calved not at the due time burst with the calves, because they could not suffer the begetting of the brown bull of Coolnia. So we're talking uber fertile here. One of the magic virtues of the brown bull of Coolnia were that 50 grown youths who engaged in games, who on his fine back found room every evening to play. Another of the magic virtues of the brown bull of Coolnia was the 100 warriors he screened from the heat and the cold under his shadow and shelter. So again, we talk a lot about these not being ordinary bulls, and here are some examples of the size and the power of the brown bull of Coolnia. Another of the magic virtues of the brown bull of Coolnia was that no goblin, nor boggart, nor sprite of the glen dared come into one and the same cantred with him. Another of the magic virtues of the brown bull of Coolnia was his musical lowing every evening as he returned to his haggard, his shed, and his byre. It was music enough and delight for a man in the north and in the south, in the east and the west, and in the middle of the cantred of Coolnia, the lowing he made at evening time, as he came to his haggard, his shed, and his byre. So as he came home, basically. These then are some of the magic virtues of the brown bull of Coolnia. Thereupon, on the morrow, the host proceeded among the rocks and dunes of the land of Conala Merhevni, and Maeve ordered a canopy of shields to be held over her head in order that Cuchulainn might not strike her from the hills or hillocks or heights. Howbeit on that day no killing nor attack came from Cuchulainn upon the men of Erin in the land of Merhevna, among the rocks and dunes of Conala Merhevni. So there you go. That is the end of the killing of the squirrel and the tame bird. And there's quite a few other bits and pieces. So I wanted to kind of break that out and make sure that it got its own little slot here in the reading. Okay. So tomorrow we are going to, I believe next is one of the, there's only 3 death tales. So Aded is a genre of story that is the violent death tales, and it actually means, I was looking at it earlier, violent death, act of killing, unpleasant fate or plight. So one of the only 3 that are associated with a woman. There's Maeve, Lacha, and Dervla, and it's Lacha is tomorrow. I believe it's Lacha. Could be pronouncing that wrong. But sure, we'll see tomorrow. So make sure that you, or whenever we, might not be tomorrow. I keep saying tomorrow, but it might not be tomorrow. Whenever the next video goes up. Okay. So slán full, and make sure you hit the subscribe and hit the bell for notifications so that you don't miss any videos. And if you want to join the mailing list, actually, I'll be doing catch-up videos or catch-up emails with links to all the videos. So you can make sure that you get access to all that. And there's loads of other good stuff that comes through the mailing list. So you can do all that below and make sure that you are not missing out on anything. Okay, slán full, and I will see you in the next video.